So, hi everyone. I want to share something that's a little bit helpful today. A lot of people would say the best way to learn a language is just to start speaking it. That's right. Practice makes perfect, as the saying goes. But one thing that people should pay attention to is enhancing their awareness of the language. Meaning is you need to read out the text you're working with. You need to understand, you need to highlight your awareness. And one way of highlighting your awareness is just like by expanding the time you're spending to learn the language. One of the hypotheses in second language acquisition is known as the noticing hypothesis. And based on this hypothesis, you need to spend too much time with something that's quite unfamiliar to you. And in this case, you're spending too much like cognitive space on it, and your mind is able to process it like slowly, and it is slowly transferred into your long-term memory, and you start using it. Let me give you a very simple example. Like the other day, I heard an expression, but I didn't know what does it mean. Like it was just like whatever, again, do whatever, like one of my friends was asking me, do whatever you want or something like this, or whatever you desire, whatever you are looking, whatever you are aspiring to do. And she said something like that, like whatever uh flips your switch. And I said, oh, whatever flips your switch, what does this mean? And I asked her quite directly, what does this mean? She said it's just like an idiomatic way of saying do what you want. Like whatever you feel happy with, go for it. So I said, be my guest, or something like that. And they said, wow. And I tried to analyze this very simple expression to add it to my linguistic stock. Like, for example, next time I need to say the same thing, and instead of going for the simple, again, common expression like do as you want or whatever you feel happy with, I wanted to use it. I wanted to use it as part of my linguistic repertoire. Now I need to add it to my linguistic, again, stock. So I analyzed it. I said, okay, it's just like flip. Oh, it's toss over, just like change, reverse, flips, and then switch. Your switch, the light switch, the light switch, and all of this kind of switching that we have around at home or in the place you're living at. And in this case, I said, oh, whatever flips your switch. And later on, I added it into my linguistic, again, stock and started using it. And today, for example, when I was talking to a friend of mine and he said it out of the blue, oh, okay, we'll do whatever flips your switch. And now it becomes a part of my linguistic repertoire. Now it has been added to my toolbox, so to speak, in order to show that I know this and I can use idiomatic expression when I express myself to others, especially native speaker. And that helped me a lot when I was reading about this hypothesis, because the time you're spending to enhance your noticing space, it's gonna be later on paid off by making your language more natural and more, again, comprehensible to a native speaker. Because, again, remember, one of the things that we usually suffer from when we speak another language is just like we have been trained, we have been hardly wired into the, again, the textbook language. But when you start to function in everyday situation, it's not that easy, because again, people do not expect you to say that, and you will hear a lot sentence like, what was that? What do you mean? I'm sorry, I beg your pardon. And they don't follow, because again, this is not what people say. So you need to be very familiar with this, and one way of doing that is just like to expose yourself to authentic language, not only textbook language, which is great if you're using language for functional reasons. Like, for example, you start writing or communicating in English. If you're working for a multilingual company, that's fine. But when you start functioning in like natural space, you need to know the nitty gritty of the language. You need to start from the go, as it says, like you need to familiarize yourself. You know what's going on, how people are using the language, what is the pragmatic uses of the language now, the way the people, the native speaker are using it in order to be able to function. And that's just like a piece of advice. I wanted to share it with you. I hope it helps, and stay tuned for other pieces.